Hi, this is Adam with Small Town Machine Shop, and we're back here working on the Avey number 2 4-head drill press. Well, that last coat of stripper really did a good job. I used that stuff, put about 3/4 of that jug in there, really thick layer. I had this heater and another heater on it before I put that on there to kind of get it. My shop's there's no heater in my shop, so it's pretty chilly in here. So just to give me every little help I could get, I had those heaters there warming this up. I applied it yesterday night and let it sit till about, a couple hours ago, so about 18 hours. And it really took off that last layer. There's actually parts that are bare metal now. This last coating here, the paint stripper, the first couple layers, bubbled it up. You could scrape it off in big long pieces. I don't know if it's this bottom layer of paint or the temperature or what it was. It turned it into, here's still some remnants of it, like a paste, like a Play-Doh consistency, and was not the funnest stuff to scrape off there. So the whole thing was covered with that. I sprayed it with a brake cleaner to kind of pseudo deactivate the paint stripper. Now it's all just this last coating, and like I said, this came off a naval ship. So I don't know if this last coating is pretty tough. It didn't really touch it. The spots that are bare metal are mostly from scraping. So I'm sure it had some pretty significant weatherproof paint on there. So that's this puddled up brake cleaner. There's all the brazing from repair at some point in its life. So yeah, I'm going to let this sit overnight, and tomorrow take the old wire wheel to it. And yeah, we'll be ready for the goal tomorrow. Let's get all the paint off it and get it ready to be primered. I got the 2 support legs and the table raising leg. I'm not going to bother using the paint stripper on those. I'll just wire wheel them because they're small enough. Clean up the threads a bit. The one thing we do have to address, when I pulled the table off this, well, let me show you this first. So, as you can see, it's got a dovetail. On the table itself, it has a dovetail on this side. That side's flat. And there's a bolt up top and on bottom. And this is the locking bolt. So, when I took it out, I took out that lower bolt. I noticed that the lower half of this dropped out of the machine. Well, because it's broken. Now, this is the gib. It's normally these 2 bolts here, these 2 outside ones. It's bolted to the table, and that's what it rides on. Then the handle in the front that locks the table, it sits on all 3 of those, but it also has a locking lever. Passes through here and just presses against the casting. So, I noticed it hung up a little bit unless there was a lot of this side didn't stay well greased. It locked up a lot. It was hard to crank. So this was broken for a while. And I could just bolt it up and it would probably be serviceable, but I'd like to fix this. It broke right in the middle of the thread, so that's going to be irritating. I got a couple options here. I could make a new piece out of steel it's not that complicated of a piece. It's 1 by, probably 2 with this angle cut in it, and then just a couple tapped holes. I could V this out and weld or braze it. That might be what I do. If I do that, I'll run a bolt in here or a piece of all thread. Typically, when I have to repair a piece that's broken out of thread, I'll run a piece of all thread through there, and to help align everything, clamp everything up, make sure that all thread turns up and down, or a bolt. A bolt will work just as well. Yeah, I'm still debating this. I think I'm going to repair this instead of making a new one. Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll try to repair it, and if it doesn't work, then I'll make a new one. So, shouldn't be that bad. Again, it's secured here and here to the table, and it's trapped against the on this side, on the dovetail on the base, on this side of the table. And it was working with it broken. Of course, I want to fix it. So, yeah, I think we'll cut a deep V on this face and on the back face. And, well, we can't go... I'll V that out as much as I can. V this surface, and there, and try to get. I think I'll use some of my nickel rod and try welding that. Yeah, we'll give that a shot. But I have to fix this before the table goes on, because this holds the table. And the video where you saw me, if you watch the video, where I removed the table by lifting it all the way up off the dovetail, well, that was actually unnecessary, because if you pull out this bolt and back the table lock all the way out, this drops out of the machine, and you can just swing the table off of it. So that'll make the reinstallation of the table much easier. But that's part of taking these machines apart, is, learning how they go together. So we got the paint stripped on this guy. Tomorrow we'll have it all sanded down. I should have most of that stuff sanded down. Get all the shop accumulation of stuff off of the table. And get the cherry picker over here and get it lifted up. This table is very heavy and kind of awkward. I got a couple chains around it. I'll put straps around it and get her lifted up so I can strip the paint. The painted surfaces on this are just around the edge. I'll lift it up, set it on the legs of the shop crane, and just grind that off. It won't take but, 45 minutes or so to grind that off. This has had a table added to it of about, there's this 1/2-inch thick steel plate screwed to it. Someone, and I'm sure it's been handy, they drilled and tapped a bunch of holes to it for various jigs and whatnot. To get this bolt out, it hits that. So when I do fix this, to make sure it all goes together nice and don't put any added stress on it, there's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 8 screws that hold that secondary plate on top of the original table. So I'll take that off, and that way I can put the gib back in there properly and all that. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll have this guy stripped, these guys stripped and primered. Maybe not primered, but it'll be stripped. And all the stuff off of it and it getting ready to be stripped. So hopefully by Friday afternoon, the table is back on it and it's all primered. Paint-wise, I'm going to paint this just, that shop gray color most machines are painted. Kind of what, that lathe is and that lathe is. So, and I don't know if I'm going to spray it or brush it. I typically just spray it. I'll put a good 4 or 5 coats on there. I'm not the biggest fan of when it comes to the stripping of the paint and the painting of the machines. That's like my most dreaded part of any of these restorations. It's just, I don't know what it is, but I just don't like that. But I'm getting it done. So we get those the bolts cleaned up for that. Yeah, it's an awful lot of braze on there. That's an interesting place for it to crack. I mean, all the way from there. There's lots of branching here, and it kind of comes up behind that one. From what the guy I got it from told me is, it's got these 4, jack screws or whatever you'd call them. He said it was actually bolted to the deck of the ship it came out of, or that's what he was told. And I guess I don't know what kind of stresses you would need to crack it right there. It's not very thick. It's 1/2 inch thick probably in this flatter part where these mounts are. Almost like, well, you couldn't even really drop something there because the table covers that. So, not sure what happened, but I'm just going to leave the braze. Thought about grinding it down and stuff, but, I think I'll just leave it. Get all painted. I'll get the 2 dovetails really nice and clean and shiny. I'll cover them when I paint it. Come back with a really fine steel wool probably, and just very lightly get them all nice and shiny. Make sure there's no ridges or anything. And the top here, where the heads mount, I'll probably go ahead and paint them for now, just to, I don't know if it's really going to rust, but paint it for now. When I put the heads on, I'll just take them back to bare steel. And yeah, so that is today's progress. I'm very, very pleased at how that stuff worked overnight. It was weird. It turned it into that weird paste. Excuse me. But yeah, it got the job done. So it's ready for wire wheeling and primering. So tomorrow, hopefully this will be all nice and shiny, or nice and shiny and primered. We'll see how the day goes. This is Adam from Small Town Machine Shop. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and see you later.